Someone's in the wall straight away on formation lap. Okay, welcome everybody to race 3 of SOP Motorsports at Paul Ricard. This is your final race of the evening, and we have lollipops on pole in the Porsche machine. So Porsche have struggled in race 1 and 2 around here. We haven't really seen Porsches at the top end of the field, but we got 4 Porsches in the top 10 lining up at the front of this field. We've got Pantalones in second place in the Bentley, followed by DNA Tuccio in the number 8 Bentley, the K-Pax machine. We have Ian TDI in the McLaren, the number 13 machine. I believe that's his highest qualifying position to date, so he'll be happy with his starting position. AJS 000 in the Porsche, the 991 machine. I know AJS is from Australia, so it's nice and early for him. And then we've got the duo of PTX Guga and PTX Ant Nunes, making up P6 and 7. RTI Iceman in the Ferrari is your P8 driver. Texas MC is P9, and Shark Zulu make your top 10. So just outside the top 10 we've got Dark Blue Dan, Art Heige, PTX Barboza, Seti, Scary Guy for You, Rest the Rebel, and Amuda 74 at the rear of the field, who is the latest of late entries. But we will ride on board with Lollipops, who brings them round the final turn. We'll wait for the green flag to be waved.
I'm with you just in time as well.
Lovely, thank you for joining us, Frank.
Nice to be with you. Cheers, mate.
So we are go then. Lollipops leads them into turn 1. We're riding on board with Lollipops, but it looks like Pantalones has got the jump on him in the Bentley, but he does have the outside line, and he does make it stick.
Yeah, great battles all the way through. DNA is holding on to third from the McLaren of Ian at the minute. Close battles all the way through. It's quite a compression into the first 2 corners, so hopefully everyone's through clean.
It looks like everyone's through clean. We are riding on board with DNA Tuccio. We'll ride on board with the P3 machine. He does have Ian in the McLaren right behind him. Everybody's closely followed, to be honest. There's not a lot of time to separate any of the drivers.
We've had one spin there down into the hairpin almost. There's a Mercedes off and a Bentley gone round. I think we're looking at Hagee here and the blue Mercedes, who I can't identify yet. If you know who that is. Yeah,
that's Hagee and I believe Dark Blue Dan. Oh no, it's not Dark. No, it's not Dark Blue Dan. He usually drives Mercedes, but he's in an Audi today.
Zulu.
Okay, so we're right on board with Hagee then. He's had a bit of an off at the beginning of this race, and he finds himself at the rear of the field as the timing screens do adjust themselves. So Hagee and Zulu with all the work to do. We'll go back up to
fast enough drivers. I think they'll, with the clean air, it didn't look like damage, it just looked like a tiny contact that sent them both in the crowd not facing the right way, so they'll be alright, I think.
We are riding back on board with your race leader. Pantalones is coming round what is to be the final 2 turns of lap number 1. Lollipops right with him in the Porsche.
Cracking opening lap, isn't it, for Pantalones? He's already made the break off the front row. He's got ahead of Lollipops, so this is his chance to try and break away, but it looks like the 2 of them are not going to be separated that easily.
Well, this is the thing, even with the slipstream, we know the Porsche does not have the legs on the Bentley. The Bentleys are a very fast machine, and we've got 2 very long straights here at Paul Ricard, so even when in the slipstream it's going to be very hard for Lollipops to find a way through, as he is just falling back ever so slightly into the clutches of DNA Tuccio and Ian TDI in the McLaren, who's staying with him.
He's in a bit of a Bentley sandwich at the minute, so it's going to be interesting as we come onto the Mistral straight. Whether he can stay in the toe of the leader there, Lollipops, and get enough of a run, or whether he's going to find himself under threat from DNA there.
Well, DNA has closed within 1 second, 0.8 is the gap, so he is just about in the slipstream there. So those three are already pulling away now. They've got 2 seconds on Ian TDI, and it seems to be as soon as you lose that slipstream, you're just going to lose the front of the pack here. So Ian's just falling away, and he's got a gaggle of cars all right behind him.
Yeah, good battle developing here in P6. I think that's Antunes being passed there. Now, is that AJS? AJS has made the pass, but he's also very, very deep into the braking area.
Wow, okay, yeah, he is, yeah. I just riding on board with AJS now. He is very wide there.
It was a good, ambitious move, but just couldn't get the car turned in time. So no harm done, but he's going to have to try that one again, unfortunately.
I'll just look a bit further down the field, Frank. I'm riding on board with Iceman in P9, who's got dark blue down in the Audi breathing right down his neck.
Yeah, and two quite similarly balanced cars here, the Ferrari and the Audi. They're both that kind of mid-engine, agile, pretty punchy cars, but I think they're going to put on a good fight here as they go into turn 1. Does have a look. Dark blue down, he's on the aggressive for sure. Just kind of steering the nose in, like not really going for the move, but definitely giving Iceman something to look at in the mirrors.
So obviously you were in race 2, Frank. What were your thoughts this early? What were your thoughts this early on in the race? How were you managing your tyres?
Yeah, at this point in the race you're kind of realising whether your tyres are in the right place or not. Like, you do what you can to get your tyres right for the temperature, but it's usually by about now that you figure out whether that's gone well or not. So all the guys now will be getting their temperatures up. They'll be kind of knowing if they've got confidence in the car, and maybe for the first time having half a second to a second to just work out where they've shuffled out since the start, and hopefully they're feeling confident. In my case, my tyres were actually a little bit overpressured, and I was already trying to think about when I could stop to get those tyres off and get them up to optimum. So yeah, at this point you kind of do well not to be in a battle, just so you can get to know your car before you start to make headway in the race.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That's a very, very good insight into what the driver's perspective will be around Paul Ricard. We will go back on board.
That's maybe what I was thinking. I'm thinking lollipops right now, is thinking, how do I get that lead back from Panto unless I've already lost it within a lap? So
wow,
maybe,
yeah.
Someone on the aggressive there.
Lollipops just seemed to be asleep at the start, to be honest, because Pantalones, as soon as those green flags were waved, he got the jump on him straight away. And I think that was the crucial thing, getting past the Porsche right at the beginning, because the Bentleys have just got a bit more straight line speed compared to the Porsches, and he is slowly just falling back from Pantalones. 0.6 is the gap.
Yeah. Although into the braking areas, into the two slower sectors, the Porsche suddenly comes alive. I was being chased by the Porsche of Wake in the last race, and I noticed a couple of sectors on track where it was just unstoppable. But like you say, then they stretch out onto the Mistral, and he's going to need a bit of extra momentum or a mistake, I think, if he's going to make a clean pass at this part of the circuit.
As we'll ride on board with Ian in your P4 position, he's already developing into a lonely race for Ian, because he's got 3 seconds on the car behind him and he's got 3 seconds on the car in front of him. The lone McLaren rider in race 3.
And it's a car that we've seen, I think it took the win in race 1, am I right, with the guitar dude at the wheel.
It was indeed, yeah.
The strong end of the grid. So he's got everything to go for there. I thought I saw a sideways McLaren, but no.
It was just he did get a bit of a slide on there, and he did get a bit of a slide on, yeah. So
maybe at the moment, not to over predict here, but he might just not have the car dialed in at this point, and that could bring Guga behind. He might notice that, and it just gives him that kind of crosshair to focus in on. I did notice that on this track. If you've got someone within a second, you can really hone in on them on this track, because there aren't many visual references to distract you.
Yeah, and Guga's Google seems to have pulled away from his PTX teammate. He's got 3 seconds on him all of a sudden. But they were running in formation just 1 lap previous, so I'm not sure if the Bentley drivers made a mistake and just fallen back, or Google's actually got the pace to try and hunt down Ian there.
Yeah, it looks like maybe recovering momentum there. Nothing untowards in Antunes' body language, like he seems on top of the car, but yeah, maybe still trying to get in sync with it. There's good moves going on down in P13, P12. Hagen's recovering from that early spin as a result of the really minor contact, I have to say, with Rebel, I think. No, sorry, with Zulu. But some good fighting going on as he starts to rebuild the race. No doubt he'll be steaming a little bit with the bad luck, but I was channel that.
Yeah, I was just about to mention AJS in P8 right down to Shark Zulu in P14. There's literally 4 seconds separating 6-7 drivers there. So that's going to be a fantastic battle to see who claims the top 10 position. As RTI Iceman is looking at being,
Sorry to cut in on you there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Great look. Good evening in chat, by the way. Hello, I see you all there. I hope you enjoyed your races, guys.
Always AGS gets it all wide.
Yeah, well spotted. And meanwhile, Sutty and Texas MC have got the best view in the house for this little fight, and as you say, it's all closing up, and that's going to even bring Hagee and Barbosa in further back. So quite a battle pack here. This seems to be where the life and soul of the race is at the early stages.
It is, as the P1 and P2 have now just pulled a 3.3 second gap to DNA Tuccio, who's got another 5 seconds to him from ENTDI. I'm still riding on board with PTX Barbosa down in P13.
Yeah, I was just looking ahead there actually, and I think Lollipops, I'm just trying to work out, he's right under the Bentley now, and I'm trying to work out if this is his moment to make the move, or whether he's aware that they're putting a gap as a pair and he'd actually rather work with the Bentley. But they are literally nose to tail now. The fight is on for the lead, and it looks like Lollipops is going to play aggressive.
He's looking to the outside. Who's going to hold it in? Riding on board with Lollipops then. Is he going to make a move right round the outside? Who's going to be the later breaker?
In position. It would be ambitious to get the move done there, but by making the Bentley run tight, there could have been an opportunity here. But I think running out of road there, Lollipops, before he could make any kind of move. So he's going to have to recollect on that one and have another think. He's got a bit of time yet.
Yep, we've still got 48 minutes remaining in this 1 hour race. Track temperatures are up to 35 degrees, so the tyres will be feeling that heat. The track surface is at optimum, and it's certainly more sunny in race 3 compared to race 1 and 2. You had quite a lot of cloud coverage in race 2, didn't you, Frank?
We did, and it actually gave me the slight unnerving feeling that the end of the race might develop into a shower, but in the end the only thing that slowed me down was my own oversteer. So yeah, this I think the track tents are going to make it. I think it's just a little bit greasier once you start to get into the high 30s, so interesting to know how the guys are finding it in terms of, unfortunately we don't get the lap time deltas on this, but I'd love to know what kind of pace they're managing to set.
I'm just going to go further back with a dark blue Dan in P7, the number 33 Audi, the only Audi in this race, as he is just a few seconds ahead of the pack, where it seems to be a battle royale for the final top 10 positions, because Texas is now breathing all down the back of Iceman.
He is, and he's going to have to watch his back in a moment, because the charge of Hagee continues, as I think we've got a Porsche ahead. Was that AJS? And he's going to drive through for it too, so one too many trips out into the wild there. This circuit can really cut you down if you manage to cut a corner, even if you're trying to back out. Sometimes it's not enough. So,
yeah, we've seen it in race 1 and 2. A couple of drivers were caught out with drive-through penalties for corner cutting.
Yeah, and here it's a short-ish pit lane, but it's still going to cost you what, 20-30 seconds on the road maybe. So I don't know if you guys actually worked that out.
AJS is definitely thrown away a top 10 position unless he can have the comeback of the century, because everyone right down to P13 are in with a shout for that top 10. Even
Texas now having to defend, and Hagee has found a way through at the end of the Mistral into that long right-hander. Pretty clean move in the end. Texas maybe not fighting it too hard, knowing that car had been coming for a while, but maybe now could he follow Hagee through if Hagee can get onto Iceman. However, I think Texas lost a bit of momentum there, and it's now between Hagee and Iceman for the battle for 9th.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good recovery drive from Hagee here then, in the number 31 Bentley, because he's just got past Texas and he's all over the back of Iceman, and Iceman seems to just be struggling in the Ferrari now. He's fallen back from Iceman and Dark Blue Dan. So Hagee could see himself, back up into P8 once AJS he is into the pits to save his drive through then straight away.
Yeah, it looks like he might even have the acceleration out of turns 1 and 2, and again I think Iceman, it's early in the race, he maybe recognises that Hagee's already made that time up. He would do
Hagee's
well
passed. Hagee is passed.
Get under the Bentley. Yeah, it was a very clean move into turn 3, not too dramatic. But now I think Iceman just needs to borrow that Hagee pace and just get himself clear of the battle behind, which is Texas, who's now under pressure from Barboza and Zulu. So it's
well, it'll be good to see what type of it'll be good to see what type of pace Hagee's got now, because he's got 5 seconds to the car in front of him, Dark Blue Dan in P7. So we'll see if he can close that gap within the next 44 minutes. It'll be interesting to see if he goes for an early stop, because the pit stop around here can gain you between 3 and 4 seconds if you can get the undercut right.
It's a powerful undercut, and especially if any of the cars ahead get involved in their own fights and start to look away from the kind of hot lap mode. We've got a nice battle developing here. Ian is holding on to 4th in the McLaren, but Guga has been tracking him all race so far, and as I mentioned, that kind of tunnel vision target has worked to great effect, and it looks like Guga's car is pretty alive at the minute, and he's going to look to challenge Ian into, well, if not this sector, maybe look for that run down the Mistral Straight. Again though, he's in the Porsche, so he's going to have to think around that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm just looking back through some SOP Motorsport stats, because I actually don't think we've had a repeat winner from any single event.
We've got a battle for P1 again, just going to cut in as you're talking, just so you can get ahead on the footage. We've got the leaders are side by side again on the Mr. Straight.
I'll ride on board with Lollipops then, who is side by side with Pantalones. He's looking for another way round the outside. Can he make it stick this time round? No, he can't. He has to tuck in behind the boot of the Bentley.
Bentley overruns it, yeah. So they're both at limit and some, trying to keep each other at bay.
They're definitely pushing each other along.
Whether you get the warnings there. Yeah, I guess the bunt drafting can't even work in this game, because you'll put that front car into the barrier quicker than you can think about it.
But they've pulled a 5.3 second gap to DNA Tuccio. DNA Tuccio is in P3 then. Ian TDI is 11 seconds further back, but Google once again is looking for a way past. It's only 7 thousandths of a second as he's looking for a way round the outside. He's making a cut back up the inside. He can't quite make it stick this time round as he comes through the last corner. Google gets it out wide.
Eager, doesn't he? Yeah. I thought he was going to look for the cut back there, but I don't think he quite made the apex enough to get the acceleration.
The idea was the execution unfortunately wasn't.
No, might have to rethink that one. Our leaders entering the very bottom end of the circuit now. It's going to be another run through onto the Mistral. Again, Lollipops is right under the Bentley now, but I just think if Pantones can cover the inside line, the Porsche just doesn't quite have the edge to do it all the way around the outside. But this is as close as they've been once again.
He hasn't gone to the outside this time.
Might actually look here for half a wheel over the inside, but no, the Pantones is tempting him that way and then saying, no mate, you're going to go around the outside once again. Cat and mouse going on here, and they both missed that apex. We could have put a whole camera rig in that apex and then been fine.
I wonder if fuel strategy has got something to play in this, because Lollipops has certainly found some pace from somewhere.
He has, unless that car's setup is just slightly happier. Yeah, like maybe having burnt off the weight, it's just starting to balance the car out a little. I know that is a car that develops over a stint. There isn't much he can do in the pits in terms of fuel, because the mandatory tyre stop means your pit stops are even. So it's really going to have to be outright pace that gives Lollipops the opportunity. Although this, again, he gets really close into turn 1 and 2. I just don't know if there's enough on the straight here to get the momentum. And credit to Pantones here, he's kind of not dropped a wheel yet, but when you say that as a commentator, it tends to lead to drama.
Yeah. I mean, what would you do in this situation then? If you were Lollipops and you've been stuck behind Pantalones for the last 20 minutes, would you make an earlier pit stop to come out into some clean air, to put some qualifying laps in and get the jump on Pantalones? Is it too early, do you think, to pit stop with 39 minutes remaining?
No, I actually think you could go for it based on the power of the undercut. However, because Pantones is running very cleanly and fairly at the moment, the undercut might be minimal just because he's in such a good rhythm. So because I'm not seeing DNA and the guys behind, they're not closing on these two despite the battling. So I think the Lollipops can just wait a little bit and wait and wait. And as long as Pantones isn't bringing them back to P3, he might as well say, hey man, it's your mistake to make first, and I'm not going to cause an accident before that.
Yeah,
and then the second you see that Bentley step left or right or out of line, that's his moment to try and capitalise. Because let's be honest, even if he can make the pass right now, there's a lot of brunt in that Bentley to just reverse the position again. So yeah, in my mind I'd be thinking we're in such a good strong position here, let's run our cars deeper into the race and then we'll fight it out in the last 20.
I'm just riding on board with RTI Iceman. Now Hagee has pulled a slight gap on the trio of cars, or quad, however you want to say it, the gaggle of cars behind him. Texas MC, yeah. Barbosa and Shark Zulu, they're all running really close behind him now, so he's got a train of cars forming who really want to be making a move on him.
Yeah, and I think they're all going to sense that maybe the pace in that Ferrari is not quite up to the running pace of the cars behind, so they'll all be...
It looks like there's some damage on the front of that Ferrari, Frank. There's definitely...
Well, that's why I'm wondering. Has he lost some time there? Yeah, he looks it's pretty scuffed on that front end, isn't it? So
yeah.
Maybe just minor aero damage, but on this track you can lose seconds, or you can lose miles per hour just from that on the straights. So
well,
he's probably lacking a bit of confidence in that car, as we see Texas get all over the back of it right now.
Hagee's already pulled 4 seconds out, so Iceman is definitely falling behind in the Ferrari, but I'm just going to ride on board with Dark Blue Dan just to see how close Hagee is. So Hagee's definitely closed the gap to Dark Blue Dan.
Yeah, and it's a slowly decreasing gap, so similar pace with these guys here at the moment, but I think maybe towards the midway point in the race and the latter half, you might see another plug of aggression from that Bentley.
Just to interrupt you, Frank, I'm just riding on board with PTX Guga, who's looking for any way possible to get around Ian TDI. He was absolutely on his bumper going down the back straight there. 0.09 is the gap between them. He couldn't make a move stick round the outside. He tried the switchback and he didn't make it work. So Ian does retain that P4, but he is under pressure right now.
Yeah, I feel like the outside line there at the end of the Mistral is a good setup, but what you really need to do is somehow get a mega exit from the fast right-hander, maybe by backing off a little early and getting on the power early.
Well, Guga looks like he's got a much better exit coming out of the final turn.
Yeah, and again, this straight's so short and the braking zone is quite narrow on the apex, so you've got to be convinced if you've got this done, because it's 2 into 1 there otherwise.
I must say the Porsches are running a lot better in race 3 compared to race 1 and 2. I don't know if that's just down to driver ability or the change in track conditions, but the Porsches in this race are definitely faring much better.
And it looks like they handled themselves well in the slipstream, as Lollipops is looking once again for the lead. It's another mirror image of an outside line. I thought for a second he had the inside. There was a touch and go moment, and actually this time he has held back a bit, but you just run out of road so quickly into this corner, and if you're not side by side, there isn't really enough braking zone there to make a late dive, and I think that is the crux of why these Porsches are both still buried behind another car.
I mean, there's deja vu between these top two then. They're coming around the final 2 turns once again to complete lap number 12. So they will be on lap number 13 as they cross the line once more. Is it going to be unlucky for some, as Lollipops is looking for a way past Pantalones then, because Pantalones is pulling into the pits. So we will see.
Break.
Yeah, we will see if Lollipops can unleash some speed.
Now Pantalones looks like he's done his research here and seen the guys who've pitted at the 35-minute mark and maybe popped an undercut in there, which is, well, you all know what I'm talking about in chat, but that's when you come on the fresh tyres and get an aggressive lap in while your adversary is still on his old worn tyres. Now, because neither car has been in traffic, I'm not sure how strong that will be. I think where Pantalones comes out and whether he's in a fight, that's going to change everything potentially here.
As I'm riding on board with Guga, he has got the move done on Ian TDI then.
And it looked like turn 1, didn't it?
It did. Turn 1, it was turn 1. He made the move and he's made it stick. So we'll see if Ian's got anything to come back at him down the back straight then. Is he going to fall out with a slipstream too soon?
Yeah, this is crucial now for Ian, just to survive, get a good exit here and get a comfortable run onto the straight. Otherwise that may be the end of the fight in the short term, at least till the pit stops.
Do you know what? Guga has just absolutely pulled away from him. He's already 1 second and there's only been a quarter of a lap. If I was Ian right now, if I was Ian right now, I've just been overtaken by Guga, I would be contemplating coming into the pits and trying that undercut move just to regain that position.
Yeah, and if there's anything he's not happy with the tyres, get them fixed for the bigger half of the race than to hang on too long. So yeah, curious to know how he's feeling in that McLaren. It looks like he's now got some momentum back and he is staying glued to the Porsche. I think that McLaren does track well on the straights, so definitely one not to rule out yet between these two. I've been watching the progress of Pantalone since his pit, and I think he's now in clean air.
Well, Lollipops is in, Frank. Lollipop is in. So
okay, this is it. This is and it's only been 1 lap, so the opportunity for the cut has been pretty minimal, but I do wonder if Pantalone's just lost half a second to a second navigating traffic on the way out of his pit stop. So this is going to be pretty tight between the two.
You know what? I think Lollipops has done it. He's done it by quite a big margin, I would say, because he's already leaving the pits.
So I'm wondering if Pantalone's had a longer stop than the two of them, but
it's going to be very nip and tuck. Pantalones is coming across the pit exit now, and he does just emerge.
He's made the cut. So maybe the potential speed he had was just being knocked out by being stuck behind the Bentley, and now he's clear. Crucially, that Bentley...
I'm not sure what you're seeing, Frank,
distance.
but I'm seeing Lollipop still ahead of Pantalones right now. Oh, Lollipop has got the jump, hasn't he? Yeah, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah. No, that's good, you're seeing it right, dude. Oh, but there's a moment there for Pantalones just getting some oversteer before the straight.
Yeah.
And that has changed what was a sub-second gap to maybe a little bit more. Now we've got to find out if that Bentley can track him back for the fight, or whether that's going to cost him a battle here.
So the undercut didn't work then, so Lollipop's definitely being held back by Pantalones, and he's able to put in a literally one flying qualifying lap to get the jump on Pantalones in the pit stop. So it's all to do for Pantalones again. Then he's 1.4 seconds behind Lollipops, who does retake the lead after qualifying on pole position.
He's fought back for it. I was about to tell you that Hagee is up with Dark Blue Dan, but he's now into the pits, as is Dark Blue Dan, and actually
he's got the jump.
Just snuck ahead of the Audi before that, so he's managed to get the move done ahead of him in the pit lane. Oh well, before the pit lane, but crucially that might mean he comes out in front. So
yeah, we got three. Oh, Guga's messing up his pit stop. He can't quite get into his pit box properly. He's lost some valuable time.
And I'm afraid I can't see if he's got that pit stop done or not. You might know better than me.
No, it looks like he's in his pit box now. So we've got three riders in. We've got Guga, Hagee and Dark Blue Dan. That seems to be a fight for what might be P5 in this race. I think that's Guga's mistake in the pit stop, I believe, might have gifted Ian that P4, P3 position back. So only time will tell on that one.
And Ian finds himself nicely in the front of the race.
He does get it all a bit wide then onto the curbs. He has a bit of a wobbly moment then.
Yeah, it does take a good lap and a half for the tyres to find themselves again after your stop, so you've definitely got to watch you don't just full send that first lap and a half of your second stint.
So I'm riding on board with Ian, who is your race leader right now, but is he going to come to the pits this time round? No, he doesn't. So he's coming round to start lap 16. Is he going to be losing valuable time staying out with 28 minutes remaining? We've got Antunes, who was in P2, who's coming into the pits, so he's coming to make his one mandatory pit stop. And you've got Iceman and Shark Zulu, who are closely followed behind. Yeah, it seems to be follow the leader right now as they all pit together.
And Lollipops is right in the midst of some action, but I think that is just a back marker. But now he's got the attention of Pantalones again. If Pantalones can get clear of the Ferrari.
Oh, he's making a send.
Very, very deep.
Oh.
Very, very deep. And wow, heads up driving there from Lollipops. Kept them both alive, I think. Notice how he didn't cut into the apex, and I think that saved both cars. Be it a drama and maybe a red face there for Pantalones, who I think was so intent on getting that Ferrari dealt with, he couldn't see I
Yeah.
doubt he could see a braking marker in that situation.
I'm not sure if the Ferrari driver, PTX Barbosa, realised he was actually a back marker in that and he was receiving the blue flags, because he didn't seem to concede the position on the straight very... Yeah.
Deep there. Yeah.
He seemed to have wanted to fight Lollipops and Pantalones for some whatever reason, but that has allowed Pantalones to close within 0.7 seconds, and he's right in the slipstream then, coming down the back straight. Will he have the legs to make a move? He's pulling to the inside. He doesn't make a move this time round. He tucks behind the Porsche.
Well, he certainly had a few laps of research to know how to deal with that, so now it's over to Lollipops to sort of return the favour and start taking up all the good lines. So I see where the driver's skill sets are here. Whether I can certainly say that Pantalones is not feeling as patient. I think the feeling of being in the final stint is putting a bit more urgency on this, and maybe knows he needs to make some kind of move before Lollipops can get the momentum back and potentially make some clear air. So hopefully these two are going to stick it out for a while longer.
I'm just riding on board with Ian, who's coming in to make his one and only pit stop with 25 minutes remaining. I wonder if he is going to reappear in front of PTX Guga, who has 1, 2, 3... There's 4 or 5 corners left to negotiate of this Paul Ricard circuit.
Yeah, DNA is over the line, so that's going to keep him in overall third, I think, once the Delta updates. DNA's doing well there to hold his ground. He has lost ground to the leaders over the race, but seems fairly secure in what will be third position. And now I'm watching Guga as he comes over the line.
So it looks to be that Guga does just about appear in front of Ian, who has a Bentley sandwich between him.
Made it stick. And yeah, I think that's the P14 Bentley of Sutty between them there, so this shouldn't be a fight. Sutty, yeah, I was going to say he got out of the way. I don't even know if he was doing that intentionally or whether he was just struggling on the brakes there, but either way he's kept it nicely out of their battle. Let them get on with it, which is a good job from Sutty there. Zulu's picked himself up stop and go, 30 seconds, and AJS has picked up a drive through. So
yep, I was just riding on board with Zulu then, as you mentioned that. He is in the pit serving his stop go now, as AJS seems to have possibly retired because he's shown us 3 laps down now.
Maybe the drive through was the nail in it there for him. Yeah, bad luck there for AJS. I think up until the drive-through, it looked like a pretty good run, and then maybe that was enough, unless there was something we missed on the cameras. Antonius is tracking Lollipops at the moment, keeping him... Oh, wow, I was going to say on his toes. That was really keeping him
I held my breath in then.
There was a pregnant pause there, wasn't there, waiting for the horrible moment to happen, but
he seemed to just
somehow they're both
going
alive.
really deep on the brakes, the Bentley.
Yeah, and it's so stable that I think it gives the driver the confidence, as I'm not sure Lollipop's got the best exit there, but it's going to take some patience now. You don't want to catch the car before this apex, or you're going to lose momentum. It's looking good though for Pantalones here.
We're right on board with your P2 in the slipstream of Lollipops. Can he make a move down the back straight? What seems like an eternity until they get to the next corner. He does pull to the outside.
Yeah, we know this move, but has the Bentley got a little bit more to offer? He's got the nose ahead. This could be close.
Oh, he gets it right out wide. He tried to hold it in. He can't make the move stick.
Understeer effect there, yeah.
You'll have to be careful with that if he keeps running wide trying to make a move.
Yeah, you hope he's backing out enough not to take a penalty, because we don't want to lose one of these two to the drive-through. It is tricky there though, because you don't want to oversteer into your opponent either. You can get quite a kick on the car in that corner. So they're doing well to have these fights and not spend more time in the barriers. As are we going to see another run into turn 1 here? Looks like Pantalones is trying to line that one up. Nice and aggressive on the exit. We saw him cut very wide.
I'm just looking in the YouTube chat, and AJS is actually retired. He's watching the race from the pit lane because his race is run.
Yeah, bad luck AJS. Right in the thick of it at the start though, we were watching that Porsche for quite a bit of the early laps.
I'm just riding on board with a Hagee in P6, so he's definitely having a fantastic recovery drive after falling right down to the rear of the field.
Yeah, I know you can only imagine where he'd be without the bad luck with the spin, because he's gradually winding that gap into Ian TDI as well. Not by a major margin, but every time I see it update, he's just chipping away. So.
Yep, anything can happen with 21 minutes remaining. So we do have Lollipops leading the way with 20 minutes remaining. He is your Porsche Renault rider in the 21 machine, followed by the 2 Bentleys of Pantalone and DNA Tuccio. We have then got PTX Guga in your number 11 Porsche holding P4, who made a move on Ian before the pit stop window and kept that position during that phase. Hagee is your P6. He's had a fantastic recovery drive after having a bit of a coming together in the opening laps. Dark Blue Dan in P7's had a bit of an uneventful race in the Audi, but he's keeping it on the tarmac and keeping it clean. You've got Ant Noons, Iceman and Texas MC then, who round out your top 10.
Yeah, and I think something I was going to mention, Hagee was running well in the AM race on Monday night in your sprint series, and that race unfortunately did get cut short, but I know that was his first real entry into an ACC race, and then to have the luck he's had this race is showing quite a stable drive here. And it's so easy when you lose the car in the first lap to literally give up and park the car, or give up mentally. So it is nice to watch drivers who don't get the run of the luck still put a good race out. And yeah, hopefully that's going to bring us a battle into the last 10-15 minutes, because that gap doesn't look like it's extending at all. We're nearly under 6 seconds now, so sector by sector that could turn into a fight, maybe for P5 left.
Yeah, the sandwich between Hagee and TDI is the blue AMG of Zulu, who is going to be a lap down once Hagee gets past. But if Hagee can get into the slipstream with that Mercedes, it will give him a fighting chance to close in on the McLaren at the end of the race. Pantalones.
It's as calm as we've had it so far. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I was just riding on board with Pantalones, who's dropped a second now to Lollipops. So Lollipops might have found his rhythm now, and he's just pulling out a gap to Pantalones in P2, who at the minute doesn't have an answer.
No, and I'm wondering if Pantalones, it did look like a super aggressive early stint, whether he's just taken the edge off his tyres and needs to sort of settle that car back down and almost cool it off on the tyres front, and then give himself another run, having taken a break, because it was looking like the two of them were going to come together before a move got made. So still think we might be on for a late charge from the Bentley here, especially as the cars get lighter.
And it is worth noting that these two at the front have pulled a 19-second gap to a DNA Tuccio, who's running in P3. Now, over a 1 hour race, that is quite substantial to it's almost half a second a lap right now.
Yeah, it's a consistently quick pace, and both of these guys in qualifying did show, they were in the 55s to 56 zeros, which is, that's the front of the grid in most splits we've had tonight, I think. So yeah, you're looking at two guys who were super wound into this one, and now neither of them wants to drop a wheel, because that is literally the difference between first and second at the moment.
Yeah, and just to put it into some comparison then, PTX...
Oh, it's a drive-through, sorry to cut in.
Yeah.
DNA.
As we said earlier on, this track is just so harsh on drivers if they've been found to corner cut around this circuit, and he's basically just thrown away that podium position with 16 minutes remaining because he's going to fall into the clutches of PTX Ant Noons in P8 and P9 with RTI Iceman by the looks of things.
And Guga suddenly finds himself with a shout of a podium. He has got the attention of Ian, who is 2.4 seconds off, and Ian has just made a little bit of ground on Hagee in P6, so someone in that trio is changing pace there, so you have to keep an eye on 4, 5 and 6 over that race. I'm
not sure if Hagee actually lost some time because he has found his way past Shark Zulu, so I don't know if he was just stuck behind the Mercedes driver in the first sector of this Paul Ricard circuit.
Yeah, maybe so actually. It's just crept back over 7 seconds, so maybe just not catching that Mercedes at the ideal point of the track.
Ooh, Ian gets it all wide again, once again coming out with a faster right-hander.
And up until this point has been tracking Guga, so I think maybe if Ian can see ahead there's a drive-through, this is going to give him a bit of a second wind because suddenly he's fighting for the podium ahead.
Yeah, as Guga does come around then, he's going to inherit that P3 position as DNA Tuccio, he is about to exit the pit lane. He did have 23 seconds on PTX Guga, so he's not going to lose as much time as I thought, as Ian just gets past him then into P4. So DNA Tuccio re-emerges in P5, and he is only a couple of seconds behind Ian then. So not all is lost.
Strange happening at the front. Lollipops is now showing in second and a little way off Pantalones. Have I got that right?
I'm just trying to see what's gone on because...
So when I was looking back, I saw a Porsche off track and I thought, oh, maybe there's a back marker getting out of the way. And then when I looked at who the Porsche drivers were, the closest one it looked like was Lollipop. So some kind of an off has happened there because he's 13 seconds away.
Indeed, you're right. Yeah, you are definitely right there. That was a good spot there. Lollipops is 13 seconds behind. They do have a massive gap. They do have a 31-second gap to PTX Guga, who's now in P3. But yeah, Lollipops has dropped it somewhere around the circuit.
And now we wait to see if he's carrying damage. I carried damage for the last 20 minutes of that race just because my calculations were it wasn't worth pitting, but I suffered either way. And now we need to know whether he's holding the gap, so maybe he's managed to keep it out of the barriers. You've got to say though, DNA was on for a battle for second all of a sudden there without the unfortunate drive-through, so kicking himself a bit when he finds that one out.
It's all change at the top of the field then, so Lollipops has dropped down to P2. We missed the mistake, but he must have dropped it out on circuit, and Pantalones has found himself all on his own at the front of the field, and DNA Tuccio's had to serve a stop-go penalty and drop to P5. Guga in P3 has just crossed the line to start lap number 23 with Ian not too far behind. 3 seconds is the gap.
Yeah, my gut says with Lollipops, based on where I saw his car in T11, which is the long right-hander after the fast straight in the kink, I think maybe lost it under defending there, and it's such a big runoff if you do lose the car that probably just found himself facing the wrong way at some point or doing a full 360, but even that would have been enough to ruin his tyres, which might be flat spotted now and bumping their way up the straight, but he's still carrying pace, so I don't think the cars have come together in a big way, but we'll wait till after the race to find out if there was contact or just a solo mistake. I can certainly offer expertise on solo mistakes based on
Yeah, I just wanted to bring back to the point that I was trying to research earlier. So your race 2 winner, Nicholas GT, is our very first repeat winner here at SOP Motorsports. Lollipops was on to become the second repeat winner after his trip off track somewhere. So at the minute, Nicholas GT, the race 2 winner, has the honours of being the only repeat winner within an SOP Motorsport event.
I know that I could have leaned on him while I was a back marker and just spoiled the fun for him a bit there. I do know Nico a little bit outside of the track, but yeah, next time we'll make his life a bit more difficult then. He needs some ballast. Give that boy some ballast.
I do you know what? I wish they could introduce ballast into this this version of the game, because the PC version does have it, doesn't it?
I think so. In a sort of series model, yeah, you can automatically add success penalties. So yeah, it would definitely keep it spicy for the. You know, the guys in this race are in P3, P4, P5. They would be the likely winners of the following race as a result. So yeah, that would be awesome.
So
it's interesting to see here that DNA has now come out behind Ian, I think, unless something has changed, and is now hunting Ian for that P4. So he's on like the big recovery drive now, the likes that we've seen from Hagen.
Yeah, that's right. DNA Tuccio is only 1.1 seconds behind Ian after his stop-go penalty, so he is trying to make his way back up the field. He's definitely out of range for a P3 position, I feel, but he could snatch that P4 with 10 minutes remaining. Hagee now seems to be in a race of his own, settled into P6 because he's got 6 seconds back to Dark Blue Dan.
And it look.
Oh no, server error, fuck's sake.